Let's be real. Infidelity is one of the most painful things anyone can go through in a relationship. But does that pain actually feel different depending on whether you're a man or a woman? Today, we're going to dig into some fascinating research that explores that very question.
So this is the big question we're tackling. We all know infidelity hurts. That's a given. But it turns out the emotional fallout, the actual way it hurts, seems to follow two very, very different paths for men and women.
Okay, but before we dive into all the ways the experiences are different, we have to start with what's the same. For absolutely everyone, the wound begins in the exact same place, with a profound, gut-wrenching sense of betrayal. This is the common ground.
But right from that shared starting point, that initial shock of betrayal, the experience splinters. The paths of pain just fork off in completely different directions. The sources we're looking at suggest men and women don't just feel differently, they actually frame the entire experience in fundamentally different ways.
And here it is. This is the core distinction. For women, the betrayal is often felt as this deep, human-level violation of trust and connection. But for men, the research suggests the initial wound is perceived as a direct attack on their masculinity, a major blow to their status as a man.
So let's drill down on that male experience for a second. The sources talk about this intense, overwhelming sense of shame, a loss of their dignity as a man. It's a really personal blow to their identity, and this can be so visceral that the partner who cheated can, in some cases, actually become physically repulsive to them.
This quote, wow, it just nails the male perspective using this powerful, almost business-like metaphor. It's this feeling of having invested years of time, resources, and energy into what now just looks like a completely failed project. It's not just an emotional loss, it's perceived as a catastrophic strategic failure.
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. You are doing important work.
Okay, and it doesn't stop there. The differences go even deeper, right down to the intrusive images that just haunt them. What each gender can't stop picturing in their mind's eye is dramatically different.
Now, this part is absolutely crucial. Men are often tormented by thoughts of the physical act. We're talking explicit bedroom scenes. Women, on the other hand, tend to be haunted by images of the emotional betrayal, picturing their partner on a romantic date, giving gifts, sharing intimate moments on vacation with somebody else.
So you can see how those totally different mental movies lead to completely different outcomes when it comes to desire and how they view their partner's character afterwards. It's a really fascinating split in how attraction and trust get processed.
Yeah, the contrast here is pretty stark. For women, the affair is often seen as a major flaw in the man's character, a moral failing. But, and this is so interesting, it doesn't necessarily mean she's no longer physically attracted to him. For men, though, it's often the opposite. The betrayal frequently just kills the physical desire for their partner, turns it right off.
You know, we tend to think of an affair as something that happens between two people, or maybe three, but the damage, it spreads out like a shockwave. The source material calls this the infidelity ripple effect, and it pulls way more people into the chaos than you might think.
And at the center of this is what's often called the triangle. It's this really painful, stuck dynamic where one person just can't bring themselves to leave a relationship, and as a result, everyone involved, all three people, ends up suffering. Everyone is caught.
So, just how far do these ripples spread? How many people get caught in the crossfire? Well, the research has a surprisingly specific number for us. On average, an affair directly and significantly impacts at least 5 people.
And here's who they often are. You've got the couple, of course. The third person, that's 3 right there. But then you have the children, who are deeply affected. And it doesn't stop there. The pain pulls in extended family, close friends, even colleagues, who get drawn into the emotional crisis.
And speaking of children, this is a really crucial takeaway. The source suggests that a child's happiness is fundamentally tied to the fulfillment of their parents, so the ultimate goal, whether the parents stay together or separate, is for them to find their own sense of well-being.
Which leaves us with a pretty heavy question to think about, right? If men and women experience the wounds of infidelity so differently, if they frame it differently, picture it differently, and react to it so differently, can the path to healing and recovery ever really be the same for both?
Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment. If you want to overcome betrayal, break toxic cycles, take control of your relationship choices, read How to Deal with a Love Triangle. The link is below the video.